Are you totally different when it comes to sex and copulation? Have you judged yourself out of receiving pleasure? Have you judged yourself into receiving pleasure in certain ways and excluded other ways? Would you like to know more about what else is possible with bodies? Would you like to create confidence in the bedroom and beyond? How has your sex life or lack of it affected other areas of your life? Everyone has the potency to be a sexual superhero. Get ready to listen, sense, and play with the sexualness that is you. Now, here is the host of The Pleasure Zone, pleasure diva and body whisperer, Milica Jelenic.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic. And for those of you who are joining us tonight, you are coming on in a very interesting topic. I have to say, when I was picking show topics for the Pleasure Zone, or when they were picking me, this one jumped out, and I literally wrote it and went, "Really? What have I got to say about this?" So the topic tonight is, are you getting high for sex? And as I started to actually think about it, I realized that I do have stuff to say about it from an outsider's point of view, not from the drug user's point of view, but from being with people who were users of drugs. And I realized that this is something I have a lot of points of view about. So maybe tonight I will change that and have less points of view. It's funny because somebody actually asked me once, do I have many points of view about sex and bodies? And I was like, I wonder if I do have points of view. And I realized that this is one of the things I have a point of view about is sex on drugs. So I'd like to not have any points of view about anything. So I'm excited to explore this topic, and especially because it makes me feel really uncomfortable because I know I have so many points of view about it, and I know that I'm going to start going, I know that I'm going to bust out with some points of view. So likelihood is there's a few of you out there with a few points of view on this too, or whether the point of view is, yeah, it's the greatest thing ever, or no, it's the most wrong thing ever. I think when it comes to drugs and alcohol, there are some pretty big points of view out there, and then adding sex into the mix certainly can make it a little more interesting. So I'm curious as to what I'm willing to explore, what I'm willing to change, and what I'm willing to perceive beyond my limitations tonight and beyond my judgments that I have about sex and drugs. So I'm excited for that. So for those of you who have no idea who I am and you just jumped on and you're like, why is she talking about sex and drugs? Well, one of the things that I offer, bodies on this planet is more ease through movement, through energy work, through just being space, hanging out. And one of the things that I have awareness of is other energies and how they show up, what we choose in order for these things to actually show up. So just letting you guys know, like I said, I know that I have points of view about this. So if you'd like to come on the show tonight and chat about drugs and sex and getting high, feel free to call in because I'd love to have a discussion about this. And maybe I will have less points of view by the end of it. That would be great. How does it get any better than that? So one of the things that, like I was saying, one of the things I became aware of when this topic came up, at first I thought, I have nothing to say about it. Because a lot of the topics, I'd say pretty much every other topic I've talked about on this show, I pretty much don't have a point of view about. So I go out and I research what other people's points of view are just to see what people think. Because I really don't have many, I'm just like, okay, bodies, cool. But then I realized this is the one area that I do have points of view about, and so it's probably going to come out a lot. And then I thought, are my points of view founded in some kind of reality? Do I have scientific research to back this up? And for some of them, I realized I have done, information and research. I've found information and research on a lot of these drugs. So it's not just from the hokey pokey, I feel it, it's an energetic thing. People might think that's hokey pokey. That's how I run most of my life, is on the energetics of things. And for those of you who required some solid science backup, I did do some research as well to give you that solid science backup tonight. And a lot of it is that, I'm looking around, just even in the area that I live in, at the number of people who are on things like antidepressants, and at the same time, how many of them are also saying, they have no libido and they have no sex drive whatsoever. They lack like a sense of intimacy in their relationships. So I'm not just talking street drugs tonight. I'm talking about those things that those doctors have prescribed to you. It might even be stuff that's street drugs as well, depending. We'll see what shows up. To me, a drug is a drug, whether your drug dealer is a doctor or your drug dealer is the guy on the street. A drug dealer is a drug dealer. So that's my interesting point of view. So I got lots of points of view on this topic, and I'm aware that a lot of them came from my personal experiences, where for a few years I lived with somebody who was a daily toker, smoked marijuana every night, every day. It was something that he felt he required in order to kind of survive. And what I noticed was, at first, when we first started dating, he wasn't smoking up very much. He hardly ever smoked up. And we were like two rabid, frickin' wild animals, like going at it like maniacs all the time. It was awesome. I'd give you more details, but it could get a little strange and pornographic, because it was kind of strange and pornographic and wonderful at the same time. And when he was present with me, when he wasn't drunk or stoned, his body was an amazing contribution to mine, and a huge, for me, he was able to be an incredible kindness that I'd never experienced before that. Or if I had experienced, I wasn't willing to receive it. So my experience with him, and I was with him for 4 years, my experience with him really was one that woke me up in a way that had me become more aware of subtle things. For example, one of the first experiences I had of being able to have like an orgasm through kissing was with him, and it was kind of an interesting and yet shocking moment. I'd had one experience like that prior, and that was my very first kiss, and I was like 15 years old, and I'd had this guy. He was like in his early 20s, and I thought he was like the sexiest thing walking, and the fact that he wanted to kiss me like blew me away. And here's this older dude and he wants to kiss me, holy cow. And it was my very first kiss, and him kissing me, I also had that experience of feeling like I was having an orgasm through a kiss, which blew me away. I was familiar with orgasms. I'd been masturbating since I was a child and knew what that felt like, and cognitively was aware that, by the age of 12, that's what was going on with my body. I was aware that I was having an orgasm. So it wasn't like, what is this? I was like, oh, that's an orgasm. So this particular fellow was an amazing gift for me, for my body, to allow me to start to receive more with my body. Now, what started to occur was there's a bit of stuff going on between us that created some issues that really for 4 years were kind of like the pink elephant in the room that neither of us was talking about. I would go to therapy. He didn't want to go to therapy. I would go to all kinds of therapy and try and figure out what was, if I could get over this stuff, if I could get over the trauma that had occurred to my body, if I could get over the unkindness that, my body experienced, if I could get over all of that so that I could have a better relationship with this person. But he wasn't interested in the healing arts or anything like that. And at the time I was having like zero allowance of that. I was like, come on, we have to go to therapy together. Had no allowance for him and his healing experience. I was really being a superior asshole and really thought that he should come deal with his issues like I am, and that would make him a better person or something. It was really not kind. And I'm aware of it. And as far as I'm aware, he has a really great relationship now and children and has a wonderful life. So I'm happy for that for him. And what ended up occurring was, this unkindness that I'm aware that, is my superior asshole coming out thinking that, I know what you need. We need to do tantra, and I need to heal, and I need to heal sexually, and you're going to be the answer to my problems because I think you're the hottest thing walking. And I put a lot of pressure on him to be my demigod savior, the guy with the magical penis that was going to do things for me that would change my life. And what a pressure that is. So, he would start to withdraw because altogether he was kind of a quiet person, kind of a withdrawn person, unless he was on stage and singing, and then he was right out there. But other than that, he was very withdrawn and shy. And he would withdraw and withdraw even more. And as he would withdraw, he started to disappear into marijuana land. Every night he would drift off into this high, and then he would drift off into pornography. That kind of kept him preoccupied. So what I ended up having was this distancing going on, and at first I really blamed it all on the drugs. I blamed every single speck of our lack of intimacy on his marijuana use. I was like, well, it is. You're smoking up, you're getting high, you're falling asleep, you're watching porn. It's all the drugs, and I have to go to therapy because I feel so alone. And I created this wild story around all of it, and really truly looking back, I'm like, wow, if I chose to be in more allowance, things may have been different. If I also chose to not be a superior asshole, things may have been different. And now having more awareness of that, and looking at other people, I started to become more aware in this last week that whenever somebody's pulling superior asshole on me, I just want to smash their head. But I also am aware of where I am, getting really clear at how many places I've been a superior ass. So yeah, that's kind of a side note, but I get for me that I have had and have definitely had the attitude of superior asshole when it comes to drugs and alcohol, for sure. Especially with past partnerships with the person I was mentioning with the marijuana, and then my last partner. Well, he was an on and off partner, but the sperm donor to my daughter was both an alcohol user profusely, an alcoholic, and a drug user of sorts, as he was into sleeping pills and Viagra and all kinds of things to try, and painkillers. All of them were by the doctor drug pushers, not the street drug pushers. So that seemed, in his point of view, to be more valid. But what I noticed in both cases was that whenever the substances were present, it's like those people, to me, I felt like I was being excluded, and that the drugs became their primary relationship, and I was so not part of their life. And that for me was the most devastating, was that disconnection that started to take place whenever the drugs or the alcohol were present, and I became non-existent, or I wasn't included somehow in all of it, and I wasn't choosing to be included in the drugs or alcohol. So we're going to take a brief break, and when we come back, I'll discuss a little bit more about are you getting high for sex, and maybe some tips and tools for those of you who are, so that you can choose something different, and those of you who are in relationship with people who are, maybe some tips and tools for you on what you can choose as well. So when we come back from break.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution, taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation by tuning in to the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. You'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What if there's nothing wrong with you? What if you're far greater than you've ever given yourself credit for? What if it's time to know the gift and the contribution you are to the world and to like yourself a lot more? Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago, I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. Asking questions opens doors to infinite possibilities. And it's not about finding the answer. It's about being the question. Always. What I'm inviting you to step into is something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Newton, Da Vinci, Gandhi, Picasso, and Aristotle all knew to be true. What if no question is too big or too small? What if anything is possible for you? What if together we could create a kinder, gentler, happier world? Is now the time? Go to beingyouclass.com and sign up for a free video series, My Gift to You. beingyouclass.com. What if you, truly being you, are the gift and change this world requires? beingyouclass.com.
This is the Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255. That's TALK. Or Canada, 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email at milicajelenic.com. Now back to the program.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and tonight's topic is, are you getting high for sex? So I know that there are people out there that, feel like they have to drink before they have sex, or they feel like they have to smoke up, or they got to get high, they got to snort coke, they got to take a painkiller, they got to take a Viagra. I know there are people out there that are doing that. And I'm aware that I have a point of view about it. So tonight, what else is possible so that maybe I can actually have no point of view about it, to be in more allowance? Because really my target is to be have way more allowance, to have my allowance and my awareness be matching. And I know that sometimes my awareness far exceeds my allowance. And on this particular topic, I know that's the case, and what else is possible. So I know, too, for me, being in relationship with and choosing relationships where people have had addiction, whether they are self-admitted or not, it's more like what I perceived as being the block in our relationship, whether it had to do with what I considered excessive use of drugs. Now, that's up to them whether they felt they were excessively using drugs or not, but it was, in my not so humble superior ass opinion, that there was way too much of it going on, and it was affecting everything, including me. So from the standpoint of science, let's go there for a second. There's actually been research done by several different, lots of different places are doing research on it, because now that medical marijuana is available in over 20 states in the U.S. and it's available all over Canada, as far as I know, it is it is becoming more of a conversation piece. And so there's more research being done on it. And what they're finding is that, especially for men, as much as it may help with things like nausea or pain or allow your body to relax, now your body's relaxing, so your body is also then going to relax your muscles, and that includes your penis. So it can definitely decrease libido. From an energetic standpoint, one of my teachers, facilitators, the co-founder, the founder of Access, actually, Gary Douglas, talks about marijuana in a different way, talking about it more about from an energetic standpoint and what it invites in to your life and into your body. Just like anything that you eat or anything that you choose or bring into your home, all of it has an energy, just like marijuana would have an energy. So it is kind of like they call it the gateway drug, but I think it's more energetically that it's this, it creates an opening for other energies to show up. So if you are aware, then you can be like, oh, there's other energies here. Okay, step back. I don't need you bugging me, influencing me, talking to me, driving me crazy. And those other energies can be other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions. They can be, disembodied beings. They could be so many things. Believe it or not, you don't have to believe me on that front. We can just go from the scientific standpoint of it relaxes your muscles, so there you go. And so it's just choice. If your body, if you really have this need, if you really feel this drive and this need or this requirement that in order to copulate with somebody, you have to get high first, you might want to ask a few questions if you're choosing to be conscious. But then again, if you're choosing to be conscious, are you choosing that? Well, that's another conversation for another day, I think, or maybe not. So if you are choosing to be high, if you're choosing to smoke up, say, for example, or try out cocaine or whatever, different drugs will definitely have different effects. So some of them, like marijuana, will relax those muscles. Some of them, like cocaine, will get you high as a kite and likely really horny and really what's full of body sensations. You get something like ecstasy where people just everything is orgasmic. So all these drugs have different effects. Methamphetamines, like meth, apparently has this quality about it that gets people feeling really sexual and sensual. And one of the research bits that I read said that it's one of the reasons why it's so hard for people to get off of meth is that they feel so sexy and sensual. And a lot of times if you look at a person on meth, they're not looking so sexy and sensual. They're looking kind of rough, beat up, and not present. So just saying, maybe it's creating some delusions there. It does create a sensation in your body. And what if you can actually create that kind of either relaxation, if it's marijuana you're looking for, if it's, meth you're looking for, what if, your body can create that sense of euphoria, ecstasy, and orgasmic energy without having to have like a chemical interaction with your brain, your entire nervous system, how it impacts the rest of your organs. Again, yes, I know I sound like I'm being a bit of a preacher, but I feel like there's a lack of people talk about don't do drugs because of the effect of your brain, and some people are like, oh, I don't care about my brain. But I bet you if more people talked about the effects of drugs on your sex life, a lot less people would be choosing it because they'd be like, no, I really like the use of my penis. I really like the use of my vagina. I really like the use of having feelings and orgasms. I'll take that over drugs. And that if they were aware that there was something else possible, that you could have this orgasmic sense of being, this and truly being and being present in all areas of your life, that may actually be far more orgasmic than any chemical combination you could try and inject into your body, smoke into your body, or whatever, any way that your body is trying to ingest it. So I would really, if you are choosing to use any of these drugs, and you are thinking, oh yeah, I'm really being conscious, I would start playing with things like, hey body, do you require marijuana to actually, if you're about to have sex with somebody, hey body, do you require marijuana in order to perform? And you might actually find out that, amazingly enough, maybe you don't require marijuana to perform. Maybe you just require to frickin' chill out. Maybe you require somebody to cuddle you, touch you. Maybe you require something totally different, and your go-to answer, because you're not being aware, because you're not asking a question, because you're just deciding and concluding and choosing that marijuana is your answer, maybe you might have a new awareness, but only if you choose it. And I dare you to actually ask the question. Because are you actually willing to listen to your body if it says it doesn't require it? So a lot of times when there's an addictive behavior going on, drug or alcohol addiction, there is really a complete disconnection to the body, and a complete disconnection to you even existing as a being. So the chances of you choosing to be aware of it are not very high. However, there may be a few of you out there who are like, holy crap, I would just like to be aware. Can I please have some tools? Yes. Yes, you can. So number one is, to me, begin to have a conversation with your body. Begin to learn to actually communicate with your body. And by that I mean actually starting to have conversations about smaller things with your body. Start having conversations about things that maybe you don't have such a gigantic charge with. Like, maybe by that I mean, like, if you really love marijuana and you want to continue to use it all the time, and you are looking for any excuse to say yes to it, then start communicating with your body about something else. Maybe about the socks you're going to wear. Hey body, would you like to wear socks today? Okay, body, which socks would you like to wear? See, that kind of conversation will have less of a charge than maybe the marijuana conversation. So if you start to have this communication with your body, you can build it up to a place where you can have honest conversations with your body. And by honest, I mean where you are willing to be vulnerable with you, so that you can listen to your body and what it's telling you without having these filters that you may have put up, like the filter of, this is what I need to relax, or you may have a bunch of other filters up that make everything look rosy colored. And so whatever it is you're utilizing, as a defense mechanism to lock in the idea that you can, that drugs are your answer. If you are choosing some awareness or some consciousness, you might, like I was saying, start with something with a little less charge and a little more ease to start the conversation out. So, if you're noticing that you have this go-to response of, oh, I'll just have this and that'll, caffeine is a drug too. In our house, we have coffee, we have alcohol, we have chocolate. All of those are drugs. Caffeine just happens to be a drug that we can get anywhere, anytime. And those, the highs that you get from sugar, the fact that you can get, alcohol easily when you're over the age of 19, these are, easy, accessible, drugs that people use all the time. Drugs in the sense of adding something to your body, like a chemical that you add to your body to create some kind of emotional change, or a sense of relaxation to your body. So in the broader sense of the word drug. So, It's not like I don't have these things in my house. I have homeopathics in my house, and in some ways they were the original drugs. So I've got all kinds of plants on my land that if you, use them on your body, can heal your body. Could, if you probably, took bark off of some tree and licked it, you might get high. For all I know, I probably have some kind of fungus growing in my forest that could, create some hallucinations. I have no idea for sure. I haven't tried it. But what I'm saying is it's available, it's everywhere. And so it's not like you have to go to the drug pushers to get it. It's pretty much anywhere. And so first, figure out if your body would like to choose it. And your body could be funny. Like, for example, my body loves having beautiful wine bottles in the house. And at the same time, my body rarely requires, or asks to have any wine. And yet at the same time, I have a beautiful collection of it that I like looking at. I really like the shape of the bottles and the look of the labels, and I really like drinking ginger ale out of wine glasses. So I have all kinds of stuff that I could easily go, oh yes, I should choose that. My body's choosing it. And some people will do that. They'll just go, oh, my body needs it. Well, did you actually ask your body if it requires or desires it, or have you concluded that your body requires and desires it? I ask that because most of the time, with the people that I lived with that were big into the marijuana, big into the drinking, they would always use that as an excuse. Oh, my body's so sore, I need it. And I was like, wow, I'm trained in so many things that could assist you in so many ways, and you would never choose it. Interesting. So that was my interesting point of view coming from the rescuer that I truly be. But we will head off to break as you guys have been listening to me ramble about my life and my points of view. And maybe by the end of the show, I won't have any points of view about drugs and alcohol. We'll see. When we come back from break, we'll continue this wild and interesting conversation.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution, taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation by tuning in to the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. You'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is the Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255. That's TALK. Or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email at milicajelenic.com. Now back to the program.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and tonight's topic is, are you getting high for sex? So a lot of people are, and a lot of people probably aren't even aware that they are, because they're using, or choosing and utilizing drugs that are prescription drugs, and they don't think of that as a getting high for sex kind of situation. So let's just go with drugs are drugs, whether a doctor's given them to you or a street pusher's given them to you, or your best friend grew it and gave it to you, whatever. Drugs are drugs. They alter something chemically in your body. So one of the things that is really prominent now, or maybe it's just really prominent to me because of the area I live in, it is a huge, huge thing out here where I live that I'd say probably 20% of the people that I know of are on an antidepressant of some kind. It's like so common. It's unbelievable. To me, it's unbelievable because to me, there's just so many options, and I've been depressed. I've just never chosen to be on antidepressants. I had like postpartum depression, pretty hardcore. And at the same time, I just was like, there's no way I was refusing the possibilities of taking drugs is what I was doing, because there was no way I was going to be smarter and better than that. So though some bodies truly require it, some bodies truly require antidepressants because there really is a chemical thing going on, and they require having some assistance with that to kind of maintain that. And not everybody has that situation, and the drug pushers are definitely giving them away like free candy. So one of the things that happens with antidepressants is that it often causes sexual dysfunction. So certain antidepressants that are, they're under a category called SSRIs, which are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, and they are often the first line option for depression. So stuff like Prozac and Zoloft, really common ones. So there was an article written in the Journal of Psychiatry and Neuroscience that said that this sexual dysfunction occurs through several brain pathways involving the increase in serotonin, the decrease in dopamine, and inhibition of nitric oxide synthase. It increases corticolimbic 5-HT, which results in decreased sexual desire, ejaculation, and orgasm. Consequently, it is not surprising that selective serotonin uptake inhibitors induced sexual dysfunction occurs in 30 to 80% of patients, and its main cause of treatment is discontinuation. So, which is they're saying a discontinuation of the drug. However, the issue with getting off of antidepressants is that it can create a huge backlash in the body. So the body becomes dependent on these antidepressants. It's not something you can get off of cold turkey. Even if you've been on an antidepressant for like only a month, highly encourage you not to go off of it cold turkey. Consult your doctor, find out ways to reduce your intake slowly, like over a year, even though you might have been on it for only a month, whatever their recommendation is. But if your doctor is recommending that you go off of it cold turkey, unless they see that it's going to kill you because you have an allergy to it, you may want to consult another doctor because that's just insane. So, yeah, if you happen to be on antidepressants and you're wondering why on earth am I having a low sex drive, it's really, really common. So, and the use of antidepressants is really common. So, the fact that we've got so much of the population feeling bummed, unsatisfied about life in general, not feeling very sexy, sexual, or very happy in their bodies. Like, no friggin' kidding. Like, what's going on this planet that we require so, I mean, I know what's going on this planet, but what if we could choose awareness over drugging ourselves, other than those, probably handful of people who truly require the chemical intake in order to have their body function properly or with ease, that their body is actually asking for the medication, that's another story. But yes, and some bodies do ask for medication. It's not that all bodies don't. It's, and I'm a huge proponent of, if your body's asking for it, use it. But please use your awareness and find out if your body is actually asking for it. So the other kind of antidepressant, which is a tricyclic antidepressant, also has a decreased libido effect. And another study showed that the birth control pills often, after long-term use, can result in also it can actually start to kill a woman's libido if their birth controls are being used long-term. So, if you've been on the pill for 10 years and you're wondering why you don't have a sex drive, maybe consult your doctor about how you can start to change that. Get off the pill, try looking at other alternatives for birth control, or for it's not, it's really just for birth control, because STD control, that's not going to do anything for STDs. So next in line is something, it's called Proscar. It is a class of drugs called the 5-alpha reductase inhibitors, and they're used to treat enlarged prostates. So I am aware that the medication, and actually a lot of the medication used for cancer, especially for prostate, can totally decrease libido, like make it non-existent. So though the medication can shrink the prostate, it can also have a significant impact on lowering the libido because it lowers testosterone. So lots of crazy drugs going on that are just really prominent in the world, that are, a lot of people on these things. There's also a baldness drug that also has a similar side effect of decreasing libido. So, and antihistamines can do that. They can pose a problem for long term. So if you're on antihistamines for any kind of allergies and you're on them frequently, that can affect it. Medical marijuana can. Anti-seizure drugs can reduce sex drive and increase erectile dysfunction, and actually can alter semen quality as well. Opioids that are, prescribed as painkillers, like Vicodin and OxyContin, not oxytocin. We want oxytocin, not OxyContin. But opioids also lower testosterone levels, which in turn can lower your libido. Beta blockers are another one. So beta blockers they're usually in eye drops for treatment of glaucoma. They can also impact your sex drive, and in terms of like lowering it. And benzodiazepines, there's evidence with that as well, that anti-anxiety drugs like Xanax can affect sexual functioning and lower your sex drive. So, kind of a wild bummer. There's so many drugs out there that, you look at these ads, especially there's like ads in America. I've noticed there's a lot of them in America, more than in Canada, that will say, oh, this drug will increase your erection, and then somewhere on their list it'll also say it could also decrease libido. Well, your erection might be working, but you might not have a drive to use it. Well, isn't that just a weird combination? But you might also have an erection, but it can also cause death. I'm not sure. Which one are you choosing? So please use your awareness when it comes to drugs and alcohol. If you could just please ask some questions of your body. There are, like I was saying, there are drugs out there that can actually assist your body if you're choosing to listen to your body, use it with awareness, use it in the dosages that your body is asking for. even things like opium. Back in the day, that was medicine. Back in the day, marijuana and all kinds of hemp-derived medicines were being used for all kinds of things. And so it's not that I'm a totally against drugs. What it is that I would like people to have awareness. If you're going to use it, be aware. Be aware of, in terms of, not be necessarily, you don't have to be aware of all the side effects. I'm just giving you some side effects. What I mean by awareness is that I'd like you to ask questions. Ask questions of your body, of what it desires and requires. What truly bothers me, where I have the point of view, is when people are doing this stuff with, completely unconsciously. They're not asking any questions. They're doing it as a reflex reaction. It's a thing that is just like a go-to answer for everything. It's, it's one of these things where when in doubt, drink up, when in doubt, toke up, when in doubt, shoot up, when in doubt, take an antidepressant. There isn't a lot of consideration for your body going on. And your body's the one taking in all of those chemicals. So if you even had a little sense of self-love, I was going to say self-respect, and I'm going to say it anyway because that's what wants to come out. If you had a little ounce of self-respect or self-love or desire to have any kind of awareness, you might ask some questions for your body. And I know people who have gotten off of pain medication, like mega doses of it, who have had a lot of pain. And I know people who have gotten off of these things with energy work, with body work, with awareness. I am aware that we have capacities beyond our imagination, that our bodies can produce every hormone we require. It can induce us into sleep. It can induce us into euphoria. It can create things for us that we think we have to get by some kind of external thing being injected or placed in our bodies to have these chemical reactions. What if our bodies have every single chemical we require? What if we can start to activate these within our own bodies? So if your body requires, relaxation, what if you can ask for all the parts of all those hormones that are involved in relaxation to ramp up, kick in? If your muscles are sore and tired, asking your body what it requires. What if your body requires like a salt bath, more so than a painkiller? We have a lot of these go-to things that we just assume take this. And yes, I get there are prescriptions out there. And what if before taking them or even fulfilling those prescriptions, what if you start to ask some questions? Because I would really love to see a world where people are aware and they're having communication with their bodies. And then, when they do go to have sex, they're being present with each other. There isn't this, disconnection going on where they're in a fantasy land. They think they're with you, but they're not with you. They, the partners I had that were, whether they were on drugs or alcohol, they I guess never really assumed they were present with me. I was just really aware that they weren't. And for me, that was one of the most devastating things, was to feel like a person kept on trying to run away from me through drugs or alcohol, and that I was like, feeling really alone, even though I was in these partnerships, you could say I was in the something. And the lack of communication, the hiding, the lying. A lot of times there's like a lot of lying and hiding that goes on with, drug use and alcohol use. So that was also something that was a little devastating to me as well. So if you are somebody who's going through this, if you're somebody who's in a relationship with a person who, every time you go to make love with them or whatever, they have to get high. If that works for you, awesome. But if it's not working for you and you would like them to be present, maybe have them listen to this show. Maybe they just require a little information about what's really going on scientifically, chemically going on to create that. Maybe they need to hear it from you, how it's affecting you. Maybe you saying to them, I'd really love you to be present. That would be the sexiest thing on earth. Can we just do this once without you being high? I just want to know what it's like. Being high is, it's not like being high is being present. Being high is being high. Being present is being present. Right. They're completely different. Being high is when you are being chemically induced to a different state of mind, which is not necessarily a conscious state of mind. It's just an altered state of mind. Just like if you, ate too much sugar and you started to go crazy and say crazy things. It's just an altered state of mind. If you ate mud and you started to say weird things, it's an altered state of mind as well. So if you're truly choosing to be present with somebody, would you require the drugs and alcohol? And I'd also wonder if you are the one who is using drugs and alcohol in any way, is this a relationship that you enjoy? And do you enjoy being with this person, or do you feel like you need to escape? Are you intimidated by them? Are you intimidated by you being present? Does being present scare you? What's going on for you? So if that's something that you would like to have a conversation about, if you'd like to find out what's going on with you or for you, or you'd like to choose different and you don't know how, feel free to contact me. I would love to think that I can be enough space to be able to assist with that without a point of view. And as I'm going through this show, I do feel like I have kind of a more clarity around what it is that people might be choosing the drugs for, might be choosing the alcohol for, what it is that they would, whether it is that, the person's intimidating, or, for example, when I was being the superior ass, maybe I was a little intimidating too. And, that could be a turnoff. And if you don't really have a lot of tools to go to as a resource, that may be your thing. Your first option for you maybe, I'm going to run and get high because, I'm with this intimidating person who's obnoxious and a superior ass. Okay, cool. And I wonder too if, as I become more aware of all the places where I am being a superior ass and I have more allowance for me in all of my glory and more allowance for everybody else, if that will actually completely start to, change my points of view, where I won't have any points of view about it. It'll be space and ease, and then the people I've been resisting so long with drugs and alcohol, maybe that resistance will dissipate, and when there is no resistance, what else is possible? So for those of you out there who are in relationships with people who are on drugs and alcohol, what if you and I and all of us, what if we could stop being in resistance and reaction to their choices? What if we could be in allowance of ourselves and of them? And again, that doesn't mean you have to be a doormat and be walked over and be abused. You don't even have to choose to have sex with them. You don't even have to choose to have a relationship with them. You can be allowance of their choice, like interesting choice, interesting they would choose to be high, interesting choice, interesting point of view. They have that point of view. It's one of the greatest ways to start to have allowance. And I get that is going to be my heavy-duty mantra for the next, lifetime. So I want to thank all of you for joining me tonight, for listening in. I know this was maybe not one of the sexiest shows I've ever done, but I do get that it was a conversation that I required having, even if it was only for me, myself, and, the sky. So thank you so much for listening. I look forward to having you guys on the show next week. Can't remember our topic, but I'm sure it's going to be fun. Bye.
Thank you for choosing to listen to The Pleasure Zone. Milica Jelenic will return next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by choosing to be turned on and tuned in to your body.